Welcome to another episode of Last Week's Comics Today. I have a decent stack of comics here I'll talk about next week at the end, but we're going to start this week with World's Finest 16, and I'm still enjoying the hell out of it. Oh geez, where did this hand come from? Whose hand is this? What? What the hell's happening here? World's Finest 16. It's too late, we're not starting over. Dan Mora still on art, and I think the reason I haven't added this to my pull list is I always expected Dan Mora to leave the title at some point, and he's still on it after 16 issues, so I should probably just add it to my pull list. I know there is one upcoming issue he's not drawing. Maybe I'll see what happens after that. But we get some background information on New Mesa, which is interesting. We figure out why someone isn't at the gathering of everyone else, and there's a pretty brilliant moment with Batman and Green Arrow. So there's construction happening with a bow, a secret bow being constructed, and where is it? There we go. So Green Arrow is there as Oliver Queen. He says, doing this is going to blow my secret identity. And he says, I'm Batman. Everyone will think I did it. Awesome. Awesome. I love it. It's so ridiculous. But anyway, it's a great issue. Still enjoying the hell out of this series. I heard that one of the upcoming arcs is going to be set in the present. This has solidly been set in sort of a timeless past, where Dick Grayson isn't Nightwing, but it's still otherwise fairly modern. I don't know. It's weird. It's highly enjoyable. I'm loving it, and I should probably really just add it to my pull list. Saga 65. I don't think this is the end of the arc, which is weird. Weren't they at 5-issue arcs? I don't know. There's a comment at the end of this that there's one more issue coming that I think completes the arc, but this has the usual arc ending emotional gut punch that the series used to have, and hasn't as much since its return, but holy cow. I don't think I want to talk about this at all, except to say that it's phenomenal, and you should definitely read it. And it has these two storylines, so it's got Alana and the kids, and it's got Gwendolyn and the Will, and I think that's all I'm going to say. Art's great, stories, it's so good and so terrible, and I love it. Again, I say this, but Saga's been around long enough that I think people have made up their minds. I can't imagine anyone is left that hasn't made up their mind about whether or not they should read it, but if you happen to be that person, yes. The answer is yes, you should read this. Holy cow. Don't Spit in the Wind, issue 3. I'm honestly enjoying this series more than I probably should. The first two issues were fairly light on story. The art, I think, is great, however, and issue 3 has a bunch of the story that the rest of the series so far has been missing. We get more about what's happening on essentially Wally Earth, giant trash. This is pretty cool. This is a dream sequence about a wave of trash, but it gets so much crazier, because at the end of this, there's this going on, right? And its final form, I'll say, is this giant radioactive trash fish, which is just an amazing sentence. But more is happening on the space station. There's a bunch happening with the people on the planet. There is a lot happening in this issue, and I, again, really enjoyed it. It's great. There's only one issue left, and I have no idea where things are going to end, but I'm enjoying this. I'm sure there's a trade coming. I don't know much about Mad Cave and their collection, how soon things come or how often they collect, but I imagine there's a trade coming soon. If you happen to miss this series so far, I do recommend checking it out. White Knight Presents, I guess, Batman. White Knight Presents Generation Joker, issue 2. It's a very long, probably unnecessary title, but whatever. The story is good. The art's great. We get more about the kids and Napier, but we've also got Harley and I've forgotten her name already. Marion, aka Neo Joker. And we get some Ivy this issue, which is great. I love seeing Ivy. But there's just a lot. It's a heavy issue as far as text goes. There was a lot to read this issue, which is good. I sometimes think about the time it takes to construct a comic or, say, a movie. So it takes months, sometimes years. I mean, just months of filming alone, weeks at a minimum. And then you consume a movie in like 90 minutes, say 3 hours, right? Somewhere in there. And then it takes basically a month to construct a comic, and you could read it in, I don't know, 5 minutes. Maybe longer, depending on text. But I enjoy some of the text-heavy stuff because, I mean, this is art-heavy, but this issue in particular had a bunch of words to read. And but there's just a massive time difference as far as what it takes to read this versus what it takes to read this, and I appreciate when there's more to read, and there is a lot to read this, and that is not a complaint that I'm making. So we get a story, we get some background. It's weird. I don't think that there would be a graveyard for Gotham villains, whatever. There is a plot point that I'm sure is going to continue coming up for a while about how supposedly one of the Arkham villains was dead but has returned. There's a belief, which is certain to be wrong, that it's Two-Face, and I guess we'll find out in some future issue who that person is. We do get a Wally, White Knight Wally, this issue. I don't think he's been in this before. But we get a bunch of Jack. We get Ivy and Harley. Ivy, Harley, and Marion. That whole scene is fantastic. It's a really good issue. I don't remember how long the series is supposed to run. 7 issues, maybe? But it's good, and I have not read this yet. I should read this. Anyway, it's good, as always. All of this White Knight stuff is fantastic. I don't know what else to say. Guardians issue 3, and I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about an annoyance. So in this, we find out that something happened a year ago, and we find out that Peter has a sister. I don't know if that was pre-established. I haven't been paying that close of attention to Guardians for a while, but it seems like new information. And it's whatever. It's this seeding of things. It's sort of like the what did Peter do that took 26, 27 issues to like finally come out. This is something happened a year ago, and Peter has a possibly secret sister, and we'll find out what happened in issue 6 that just got solicited. So it's just, I think it's kind of bullshit writing where you know that there's a secret, but they're going to tease it out over the course of months, in this case, years, I think in the case of Amazing Spider-Man, but it's annoying, and I think it's intended to be enticement to continue reading, whereas this, it to me, is often just annoying. It's like either don't tease it or get to the point. It's rarely worth it, in my opinion. Whatever they're eventually going to get to, and in this case, in issue 6, they're going to get to what happened a year ago, the start of this Grootfall stuff. I think his sister, but whatever. That's all I have to say about this. Wild's End issue 1. I did not read any prior Wild's End, but I heard Comics Pro, maybe, that it was coming back, that several of big name boom titles were returning. Step by Bloody Step is one of them. I can't remember what some of the others are, but Wild's End was on the list, and I'm like, when it comes out, I'll give it a shot. And this is good. So this is anthropomorphized animals, as seen by any page I'm flipping through. In this case, they're on a fishing boat, and in previous Wild's End, it was the same animals versus War of the Worlds. Essentially, it's an alien invasion. In this case, knowing that going in, it's a lot of setup before it gets to a point. This is they're on this boat for weeks, I think a month, and when they return, the invasion has already happened. They return to a town where it is empty, and they find on the last page, so they find this bench with a scorch mark around it, and a pair of shoes that still have feet inside, which is kind of gross, but it's a mystery to the cast as far as what has happened. It's not a mystery to me because I already know, I have outside knowledge. So it's a lot of setup, and I wish they'd just get to the point. I don't know if I'm continuing with this. The art's nice. The writing is good. It's Abnett and Lanning, even though they haven't collaborated for years. But it is, I will say, a stylized text. It is heavily accented. There's a lot of slang in here. So you get stuff like arse, which isn't that, although bloody. There's two bloodies and an arse, so that should tell you something. These kids are my favorite, and not just because they're cats, but it's the way they talk. Although you can see some more there at breakfast, have you? So it's, I don't know. It's good, but also I wish I had gotten to the point sooner. Not spent as much time on the boat. We only get back to town at the very end where they discover something's happened. I don't know. We'll see. Lastly, for this week is Dead Romans issue 4. Yes, 4. I think there are 2 issues left, and in this, much like one of these other, we get a lot of history this issue. So we find out more about what has been going on with 2 of the main characters, I guess the 2 main characters, but it fills in some gaps as far as history, and it's just all around fantastic. The art, which I just flipped through, is similarly fantastic. This is an art-heavy book where you get these action sequences, fight sequences where there's not much talking, but there is afterward talking, explanation, history. It's filling in missing information, and it's just really well done. It's good stuff. So, this is recommended. And that is everything that I got this week. I notably did not get Ultimate Invasion issue 1. I will probably get that next week. I avoided buying it this week. I'll talk about this when I review it, but I didn't buy it because I read the preview pages and none of it seemed interesting. It's another book where I wished it would just get to the point rather than have this giant build-up, and it's only 4 issues, so they don't have that much time to spare. But I don't think there's anything on my pull list that's coming out next week, so I'm gonna be browsing the racks looking for something, and I will probably wind up with Ultimate Invasion. So I will talk about that then, but just going into it, I have low expectations. As far as pick of the week goes, unquestionably it goes to Saga, which is just amazing. Start to finish, there's a ton of character stuff in here, a lot of plot advancement. It's really good, and as always, art by Fiona Staples. I wish I could show you some of it, but I'm choosing not to just because spoiler heavy stuff. So that's everything that I got this week. It was a good overall week. I'm happy with all of this. As always, I get my books from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.